Hey y'all, welcome to the Social Examiner. My name is Jess, and on this platform, we observe the current state of society by reflecting on how we contribute to it as individuals. So, in today's video, we're going to be talking about Nickelodeon's Quiet on Set documentary. Yes. I know it is not, the wave of the documentary has ceased, kind of. People are still having conversations about it online, but it's not as viral as it was. And I believe it has been maybe a month and a half from the time I've watched the documentary. And it was really hard to watch, to be honest. I was watching it at work. My sister actually was watching it first, and she was like, hey, you should really just look at this documentary. There's a lot being exposed, and whew, it was hard to watch. Okay. I sew for a living and I just play either court shows and things in the background just to listen to as I'm sewing. And yeah, I decided to watch the documentary and Nickelodeon, at least in the 90s, has cranked out a lot of good shows, a lot of good kids shows that cannot be even compared to the shows being produced today. Okay. The level of acting, it was so natural, authentic. It was seamless. Their dialogue was just very natural. Their comedy was well executed. It was very light. You couldn't take them too seriously. They were very talented. Those kids, now adults, were very and are very talented. And it just sucks that they couldn't just simply enjoy their craft and just be a part of the industry without corruption just tarnishing and staining the legacy of the shows that were produced. It sucks. It sucks. I know they say ignorance is bliss, but I'd rather not be ignorant or oblivious to what's really going on. I love for the truth to come out, for society to hear what's going on and see what's going on and be able to act and take action and make change. It's really unfortunate. And looking at this documentary, and I'm on this journey to do a lot of research and just observe life, observe and watch interviews, biographies, tune into the news, read books, and just really understand society, understand people, understand my part in society and why humans do what they do. And what has been a common theme from what I've been seeing with also the latest news coming out, it just seems like the vices of human beings, the vices, our evil nature just seems to rear its ugly head in all aspects of life. There's a yin and yang. I talk about it in my previous video, our capacity as human beings. I talked to you guys about the concept from what I've observed and read, whether it's scientifically or biblically. We humans are double-minded. We have the capacity to think good and evil and be able to do good and evil. And unfortunately, if we are seeing in society a lot of bad in the world, it's because the majority of people are acting out of their bad nature. And if we're seeing a lot of good in the world, in this region or city or area, it's because a lot of us humans are acting in our good nature. That's what we're seeing a prevalence of. Okay. So unfortunately, when it comes to the entertainment industry, which is, I'll get into that later, but in this case, in the documentary, we are hearing the bad. It's not all bad, but we're hearing a good amount of bad going on behind the scenes. It's affecting a lot of people. And I believe with watching this documentary, there's a lot to be learned. I don't simply watch documentaries just to take it as it is. I always look at life situations and everything that I'm witnessing to see the lessons and things that can be learned from it. I'm a learner. I'm a student. I love to learn. I'm in this mode to really understand life. And for this video, I have processed and I have a download, okay, 6-page download of lessons that can be learned from this video. I've narrowed it down to 12 lessons. There's many more, but it kind of all go hand in hand. So I'm gonna just talk about the 12 points that really stand out, and it's really, really important. And hopefully you guys can resonate with it, and maybe this will spark conversation in the comment section. Who knows? But yeah, let's get straight into it. Yeah, I'm gonna be looking down because it's loaded. I'm gonna try not to be long-winded, but okay. Lesson number 1. This documentary did not just expose Hollywood and Nickelodeon. It exposed a prevalent occurrence in culture, lifestyle, or human behavioral patterns in spaces and environments of affluence, so wealth, or middle class, or impoverished areas, or in cities and parts of the world. There is no country, state, or city that can claim that they do not have the issue of a toxic work environment, corruption amongst social statuses, or the occurrence, in this case in the documentary, of rape, child molestation, or abuse. Wherever humans are, the possibility, capacity, and tendency of evil exists. Okay, so of course, we're talking about the topic of Nickelodeon and the studio being Hollywood, okay, being around people of affluence and wealth or whatever. Those things that has transpired there doesn't only occur in those spaces. It also occurs in the general population, in the financial field, banking, tech, or other jobs, at the grocery store, at the mall, retail, whatever you want to call it. Whatever industry that humans gather for whatever reason, okay, the human presence, human interactions, there are, of course, different levels of power structure, okay, from owners to management to supervisors and the regular general employees, okay, in that structure. There is room for corruption to ensue, depending on the behavior of the many individuals coming together for a cause. Okay? This is happening in all levels of life, in social spaces, social statuses, positions, whatever. Okay, it's happening everywhere. Lesson number 2. Majority of the abuse and mistreatment to occur a second time at the Nickelodeon studio, it was preventable. Okay, so the first time, you know, people were shocked. What's going on? What? Okay. And then for the second time, for things to occur, for the abuse or misconduct to just keep on going on, or to have to keep on having the exposure in those spaces, some of the things were preventable. Okay. I will expand on that later on in this video. Lesson 3. As humans, our desire to obtain or live out our passions, talent, career, and other endeavors, even to gain wealth or a livable wage, or are often greater than, much more of a priority than, important than our mental health and physical health, safety, and overall well-being. We are willing to sacrifice ourselves or further expose ourselves in a toxic environment, an unfavorable environment, harmful environment, hostile environment, perverted environment to achieve our goals by any means necessary. When I think about that, this resonates with me. I'm a business owner, a proud entrepreneurial, a proud entrepreneur. I'm very ambitious. I'm a go-getter. I envision my life being a certain way and me achieving certain things, having a certain amount of clientele, being able to maintain a certain amount of workload and revenue weekly. And I'm not going to lie to y'all, I push myself to the limit to where I feel my body breaking down and it gives me signs. My eyes will be twitching. I will have a shortness of breath. I will be having anxiety and panic attack, but I know how to handle it to where it's not going to be a full-blown attack. I feel heavy fatigue, and it gets worse when I'm driving. So I feel like I'm gonna fall asleep at any given moment and harm myself and potentially harm someone else in their vehicle. And yeah, it's not a good thing. I mean well, my intentions are pure and it's good. I'm a go-getter. I believe what I'm doing is a part of my purpose or calling in this life. And sometimes I lose sight that I'm pushing myself to the limit. I'm not sure if I'm doing that because I feel like I'm resilient or invincible and, oh, I can withstand this. I can, but at what cost? My body is telling me sit down and rest and get your full 8 hours. Okay. Yes, money is great and your clientele and everything is great and your business success is great, but please do not abuse your body. Do not push yourself too far. Of course, in this documentary, these actors, screenwriters were in a perverted and hostile, inappropriate environment. And you can hear when each of the actors and the people who are part of this studio, they're so passionate about what they do. They love what they do. They feel like this is their big break. And it will suck for them to have to make a decision to quit because they don't think they're going to ever receive such an opportunity again. But we become faced with a decisions. I'll talk about it more deeper later on, but I'm not sure from what I could articulate and distinct or come up with some of the reasons I believe it to be of why people kind of stay in those environments is because in the moment, our career and our want to achieve our dreams or be in the industry that we just dream to be in since we were kids, sometimes is greater than our safety and our mental and physical health. Okay, so in my notes I put it may be due to our obsession or desperation or over eagerness to achieve our dreams. Or B, our subconscious understanding of our human capacity to be resilient. Because if y'all can just study and read about history of humans and what this body can do, it can withstand a lot of things. This body is capable of healing itself. So if it gets physically harmed to a certain capacity, it can heal itself. Okay? People who have been through wars, the Holocaust, slavery, humans were able to still reproduce and generations were able to survive and push forth more people and populate. Yes, they still have mental trauma and some physically damaged. Of course, some people didn't make it, but we understand to a certain degree, humans are very resilient. And I'm not sure if us knowing that maybe somewhere in our subconscious, we feel like we can be in spaces that are not necessarily great for us. Of course, those examples I just named, clearly it was not by choice. But what I'm talking about is our ability to be resilient or handle extreme challenges or have the hope or the chance to maybe go through and withstand or overcome a huge challenge, a strenuous, hostile environment? Do we kind of feel like we're invincible at times? Like, no, I can keep pushing forward. I'm this close to my goal. Let me just stay here a little bit longer. It'll be worth it. Is that what's going on in our minds? Is that what was going on in those actors' minds? At least for me, I can see how in moments of my life, I push myself to the limit because part of me feel like I can do it. But when the body breaks down, it breaks down. So whether it's a physical thing or a mental thing, it will let you know, stop. And hopefully it will not be too late when that happens. Lesson number 4. For the parents who fail to protect their children, being exposed to inappropriate conduct or for any molestation to have went on further than the first attempt or exposure, it could be due to the following reasons. A, the parents want to acquire money or to maintain their child's career was far more important than their safety. Okay, so that goes back to my first point. Of course, no parent will admit that and say, hey, it's because their career in acting is way more important, or the money is so good and so much needed in this moment of my life. No one would ever admit that. Who would say that? But it's not what we say. It is our actions that speaks loud. It is what we need to pay attention to, is our actions. Okay? What I did hear in the documentary was some of the parents did not come from a good neighborhood. They probably were living paycheck to paycheck. And with their kids now having the chance to act, they're able to acquire wealth beyond 50,000, especially if you stay with the TV show for long periods of time and become a star. The money increase way above a regular minimum wage. And that is so attractive, and it's deemed success. It's deemed as success. So that was their goal. And when you choose to still be in the situation in an environment such as that, what speaks louder is the actions to stay in order to maintain being in the industry, to maintain being a part of that studio, the Nickelodeon studio. Reason B, the parents thought that watching their kids like a hawk was efficient enough to protect their kids. So kind of like what Drake's father was doing, he was watching closely to what was going on. He made sure his kid was not alone with the dialogue coach or alone with Dan Schneider and whoever else in that studio. However, inappropriate things were still occurring. So what did watching the kid like a hawk actually do? They're still in that situation. They're still in this inappropriate work environment. That's not real protection. Unless they're going to send someone to jail or have someone immediately removed from a studio, which takes time to do, you're still being exposed. Your child is still being exposed in that environment. Reason C, it was clear that the level of awareness of what is deemed appropriate or inappropriate was different to some parents. For an example, for the lady who has that 9-year-old girl, when her child was emailing that grown man, for whatever reason, I think he was like an assistant. I think he was an assistant. I don't think he was the dialogue coach. He was probably in his 20s and stuff. The mom did not see nothing wrong initially with her child emailing this man back and forth. Perhaps she thought it was just business. Oh, he's just encouraging her. Who knows? I guess the documentary didn't really go in depth what she really thought, or if she did investigation prior to when her child finally got upset and, ran to the other room because the conversation was getting too inappropriate, and she was really disturbed. That's when the mom went, at least in the documentary, that's when she stepped in and actually investigated the emails to see what was really being said. So in that instance, initially, she saw nothing wrong with her child emailing a grown man. And I think that could be due to how she was raised, the environment she grew up in, and what she's seen around her, being a part of that industry as well. Because I believe she did mention that she grew up around entertainers or actors or something like that. I'm not sure if it was her mother or her who acted before or something like that, but I think that's what I heard. But in another situation, Drake's girlfriend's mother, the mother of Drake's girlfriend, she noticed something was off with Drake and actually proposed for Drake to go to see her therapist to kind of break through and, say what was on his mind and what was troubling him. I'm not sure, in the documentary, it didn't really say that she did any investigation and say, hey, what's going on? What's actually being said or text to Drake? I'm not sure if she listened in on his conversation with the dialogue coach. However, she noticed something inappropriate is going on. And she stepped in the way she felt she should. So in comparison, the lady with the 9-year-old, her level of awareness or discernment or vigilance was slightly lower or not as vigilant as the mother of Drake's girlfriend. There's a difference. And I feel like it's really due to our upbringing. Okay. Some of us, due to our life experience thus far, some of us are more vigilant than others. Some of us are more aware of our surroundings than others. Can we really fault ourselves and blame ourselves for things that happen to us all the time? No, we really can't. Especially for things that are happening to us freshly and new. Because of course, as life goes on, we learn lessons and we kind of create preventative measures, as part of our survival nature, so we can know how to move forward and, protect us from danger moving forward. However, with fresh, new circumstances and situations we face, we have a different level of discernment and how we observe life and how we pay attention. So unfortunately, it will leave some of us more vulnerable than others to certain things that occur. Lesson number 5. As humans, we care too much about our reputation versus our reality. Okay? So another thing that was mentioned from the lady who has the 9-year-old, she said she did not call the police initially because she did not want to appear like a bad parent. In that moment, I can relate with her and empathize with her because I know for myself, I do care about my reputation. I do care how people perceive me. And sometimes it doesn't make me admit if I don't know something, or admit if I did something wrong, or admit that I need help with something. Okay. My pride gets in the way. And I'm not able, in some cases, to get the help or the advice that I need in the moment. So in this case, with the lady with the 9-year-old, when it's time for the authorities to intervene and actually come to her rescue and do some investigation to figure out what that guy's about, who's clearly sending inappropriate communications to her daughter, she doesn't get the authorities involved because her want or her her wanting people to view her as a good parent and the best perfect parent is greater than her in that moment is greater than the safety of her child. Like I said again, it is not what we say, it is our actions. I know the lady don't mean much. She's like, hey, I don't want my business to be out there, maybe. I don't want a big expose. I don't want the authorities to come because, the kid will actually be questioned for the investigation and stuff. So, yeah, I can relate with that, though. And I would just like to say in this moment, like, hey, guys, let's put our pride to the side. In dire situations like this, or in situations that you need help, you need advice, you need a second opinion, whatever the case may be, it's okay to humble ourselves and just admit, hey, we don't know how to navigate this situation. Let's remove this pressure about our reputation and let's set it aside. Let's set our pride aside. In situations such as this, where we need the authorities to intervene, who cares about not seeming like the best parent, or, oh, I wasn't vigilant enough, or I should have done this, I should have done that. Who cares about that? Even if they do question you. Listen, we're not all knowing. We don't have all the facts. We don't know everything that is going to come our way. But if we need help, let's get the help. If we need advice on how to go about doing something, let's bring in the help and bring in the advice. We are meant to do life with each other, guys, as a community, not being individualistic and being to ourselves and isolated. Oh no, we humans are put on this earth to help each other. Okay? We need support. There's no such thing as being the smartest human being. Oh, I should have known this. I should have done. Don't beat yourself up. Okay? There is no such thing as the perfect parent. There's no award to win. The award would be receiving the help and being able to protect your child, being able to protect yourself. That is the reward. All right. So lesson 6, there was an option that could have been taken by both the adult parents, employees, and colleagues to stop further exposure to the toxic work environment or behavior. However, due to the previous points, the options that I will further discuss were not taken. Maybe considered, but not taken by the majority of people, actually. Let me say that. It wasn't taken by the majority of people. Or eventually they got to that point. Reason A, or not reason A, option A, quitting. I know. It is the least desirable, the most unfair choice to have to make, all because they have perverted buffoons working at the studio. They would probably think, why me? I want the chance to live out my dream, my career, my desires. How dare this opportunity be taken away from me, all because of these people who are actually the minority in the room. I'll expand on that later, but yeah. Okay. So in moments like this, so still highlighting, this is our career, we're chasing it, we want to achieve it so bad. And sometimes we think that this is the only chance we'll ever get. And that can be factual, but we will never know because we're not all knowing beings. Okay. Life will still move on, and there are many possibilities. So we cannot limit ourselves and tie ourselves down to one moment being in a hostile work environment just because we're wanting to accomplish our dreams so bad. We need to see the bigger picture of life and also understand the fact that we are not all knowing. We do not know what the future holds, although we really want to grasp the opportunities that are before us. we need to still put in check, is our safety good? Is our well-being secure? Okay? Physical, mental health. What is important? We need to evaluate that. So yes, quitting was an option. Okay? I know some of us will argue, oh no, but there shouldn't be no evil people in the world. Like, they keep messing things up. They shouldn't just exist. Put them in jail. Put them in jail right now. I wish it was that easy, but it's not. Life is showing us it's not that easy. Evil and the nature of it keeps creeping up in every situation. It's not even only in the workspace, in a social friendship. Behaviors are acted out and it does things and affects others. That's a common thing to life. That is actually why adversity exists. Some parts of the adversity exist. Okay? So we should, try to understand how life is, the reality of life, and be aware of things so that we can bring about change and kind of learn how to move accordingly. All right. Option B, for the majority of those who felt that the behaviors of the gatekeepers of the studio were inappropriate, abusive, or unsafe, they should have rallied together and stand in solidarity for one another and get Dan Schneider and whoever else up out that studio, get them arrested, come together and stop production like a protest. Okay? Because people who were affected by the hostile work environment, it was a lot of people. They were the majority. And Dan Schneider and the other perverted people were the minority. Okay? I noticed that when I was hearing it and seeing it. I'm like, wait, if all of y'all felt that way, were y'all in communication with each other? Because at least, I'm not sure, because the documentary clearly is spinning one side of the story and everything. So they're not really shining light on every discussion that was had. But I'm like, did y'all all believe each other with what was going on? Or did y'all kind of keep what was going on to yourselves? Did y'all discuss this amongst each other? Because if so, with the amount of people that was witnessing all of this craziness, so whether it's the sexual misconduct or harassment or, the verbal abuse and things, could y'all not have come together in numbers? Because you're stronger in numbers, actually. You can tackle certain things and fight against things in numbers. Okay? To get someone up out the studio. Because technically, Dan Schneider, yes, he was the writer or executive producer. But no, honey, you guys were the writers. You guys were the actors acting these things out. You guys had the talent. I'm gonna expand this more in another point, but hello, y'all could have dismantled that studio. But I get it, y'all do want to make a wage and pay your bills and things. So that's another thing that can hinder people from doing that. But the same, that's a mental note. Option C, the majority in number who disagreed with the environment of the studio, okay? This includes the majority of the actors, the parents, the producers, the writers, the stage and set workers, costume designers, and assistants, okay? For those who are saying, hey, this is totally wrong and we don't want to stay in this environment, okay? Those majorities could have came together and put together their own production. And create a favorable environment for themselves. Now, let's think it out. Would it have been a low budget production? Absolutely. because they're starting out from fresh. Would they be able to be paid a livable wage or paid at all while starting from scratch? Probably not. But in fact, that is how Nickelodeon itself or any production company or studio first started. Just do the research, guys. These companies did not start off being grand. Okay? They started out from nothing. They started off with volunteers. And yes, you would be like, okay, well, no, they're established now and we're being paid a livable wage now. So why do I have to have my salary be cut? And now I have to find a job at the nearest diner to now start working that while I'm volunteering my time to now start a new production from scratch. I know it sucks. It's a terrible, unfavorable decision to have to make. But what I'm saying is, if all of you guys felt that this environment is no can do, and if y'all want to keep on having this Dan Schneider and this dialogue coach and all these other corrupt people making Nickelodeon what it is, we don't want to be a part of it because we're the majority and we'll take our talent elsewhere. Okay? And eventually, y'all's production would have turned out to being something great as well because you guys made Nickelodeon what it was. I'll expand on that thought furthermore, but yeah, they made what Nickelodeon was. It was not only Dan Schneider and the higher ups. So yes, you'll have to be willing to start from scratch. Okay? And it's unfortunate that they did not see, because I'm not sure if they came, I'm not sure if when they were experiencing all of this, I'm not sure if they were in communication with each other of what was going on. I'm not sure. The documentary did not really explain that side of things. But it's very unfortunate that they did not see that they did not see that. They were not aware of their contribution, their influence or power behind their role. Okay? We are powerful in numbers and operating in unity and not apart. Okay? The evil people of the industry prevail because they are unified. Okay? They come together and view themselves as powerful. So what good people have to learn, people who are operating in their good nature, people who are, in this case, the victims, what they need to realize is you guys are stronger in number. The majority of people are stronger in number. They need to have a higher esteem for themselves and to have confidence in what they bring to the table. Okay? It will truly make a difference. With them being all together, they can make moves, powerful moves. So that leads me on to lesson number 7. We as humans don't give ourselves credit for our positive contributions to society. In our homes, friendships, relationships, or in the workplace, we don't see ourselves as important or influential in the part we play in the great scheme of life. We tend to view ourselves as less than, especially when we come from a middle class to a low income household. We tend to give great credit or value to people who are affluent, gatekeepers, gatekeepers and popular. We tend to view or treat people who are affluent as special people or a superior species compared to ourselves as being regular and a part of the general population. We often oblige and succumb to the behavior and actions of giving the affluent people special treatment, royal treatment, not holding them to the same moral standards and accountability and responsibility that we live by, even the laws that we abide by. We complain about their superior treatment, but partake in the behavior of exalting these affluent people or people in high positions. Look at how you treat celebrities. How we willingly stalk celebrities, some of them who are really obsessed, some people who are really obsessed with Beyonce or whatever, they have stalkers. People will follow them to their hotel and all this, invade privacy and everything. Treat them like they're not humans, all because of how much we exalt them and idolize them. Okay? Especially when we see them in public as well. How we follow them vicariously online, on social media and other platforms. Okay? A good amount of us are obsessed or overly interested, or some people envious of the lives of the affluent. Okay? Therefore, a lot of us are willing to do things, willing to make ourselves vulnerable in experiencing things just to get to the level of being affluent. Okay? We need to stop treating people who are affluent or celebrities or popular, stop treating them like gods. Okay? Because they aren't. No human being is above you. I don't care how rich you are, if you own a crown or not, from royalty, from a royal family, or the president. Okay? No human beings are higher than you, so we should not put them on such a huge pedestal to act anyhow and do anything and get away with stuff. Okay? Lesson 8. It's going to be a little touchy one. Broken marriages, divorced parents are susceptible to not being able to protect their child effectively. Okay? Why? Often, divorces are not amicable. The tensions are high. Both parties are not seeing eye to eye, meaning that they cannot effectively communicate. They cannot come to an agreement on how to properly care for their child. Okay? To think logically and take each other seriously when communicating on matters concerning their child. An example of that fact: when Drake's father claims that he told Drake's mom, do not allow Drake out of your sight. Do not let him be alone with that silly dialogue coach who's clearly inappropriate. His mom did not heed that information. I don't know how bad their relationship was, but she allowed him to, take rides and things were happening. Another fact is predators know who to target. When I say this, I do a lot of research, guys. And I also work with an organization that helps women and girls who have been trafficked, sexually trafficked. And from what the statistics show, most times these predators, they know who to target. Mm-hmm. They know how to spot a vulnerable child who has dysfunctional, absent, workaholic, unavailable parents. They see the opportunity to swoop in and take advantage of the situation. Okay? So it's very, very important, especially if you're a parent and you're, it's a baby mama, baby daddy situation. You guys are not together. That is totally fine. You guys didn't plan your divorce or separation. However, it is very, very important to put the pride and the ego aside. Begin to think logically, okay? And really take each other seriously in the communication. Don't just dismiss what the person is saying because you just hate their guts. Please be coherent and please understand that you guys created this child. So you guys better do your best to take care of that child. Okay? Don't create blind spots by being at odds with each other. Effectively communicate. If you need to go to a counseling session, go to a counseling session. But make sure you guys are doing your best to communicate and be there for your child at all times. Because as we hear the story, this happens a lot. When you hear about child trafficking situations and statistics is usually kids being affected, being a part of a one-parent home, being a part of a broken home. Parents are fighting, being a part of a home where the parents are workaholics as well. Okay? They're so busy making ends meet, the child is out of sight. Their kids are walking home from school alone by themselves, or they're left in the house by themselves. Unfortunately, there are predators out there. They also study human nature. They also observe what's going on, and they seek for opportunities. The facts are there. So it's very important for us to be aware of human behavior in our both good and bad nature, in the prevalence of what's going on, and educate ourselves so we can set preventable measures as best as we can to preserve ourselves. Lesson 9. As humans, we have the capacity, tendency, and potential and innate nature of doing good and evil. So I mentioned this more in depth in my video called Our Capacity as Human Beings. Go ahead and take a look at that if you haven't seen it. So we are double-minded beings. So I really break that down in that video. I really do a good job of that. I don't want to waste too much time. I want this to be under an hour. So let me skip some of these notes. So with that being said, it's very important for us to be aware of what we do. Okay? There are good habits we do, and that's great. We love it. It is promoting change. It's promoting love and support and community. It's making it thrive. It's spreading positive influence, and we love those things. But another thing that we need to pay attention to is our bad habits, our bad and evil nature that seeps out. Okay? There's some behaviors that are not checked. People are running around unchecked with lack of the accountability and awareness. We need to pay attention to those things. We need to do an inner work within ourselves individually. There are certain environments we grew up in that was chaotic, exposed us to a lot of things that has wired us to grow up and develop and see the world a certain way and do certain things. Okay? Some of us are operating in our evil nature. We dibble and dabble in both. But of course, when we're dabbling in the evil nature, it's coming out and it's affecting not only us, but other people. We need to be aware of what comes with the human traits. We need to be aware of our virtues and vices. Just go ahead and do the research. Okay? So once we are aware of those things, we can be knowledgeable in instilling the good, encouraging the good to keep on coming out and showing up. And also course correct when our bad nature comes out. Course correct each other's, our friends, our family members, our co-workers. There's a certain way we should go about confronting those things when we see it, and not simply be bystanders and just let it go unchecked. A lot of the adversities that we see is due to human beings making a decision. They're thinking and then they're doing. And it becomes a problem for not only the person, but someone else. We need to pay attention to our nature. Lesson 10. This is going to be a hard one. Oftentimes, victims turn into perpetrators. Okay? An example of that fact is in this documentary, Drake was accused of child endangerment. When I did further research into what went on, this girl who is alleging that she was 15 during the time she and Drake was interacting via social media, and she had went to a concert. She's a very big fan, and she's claiming that they had sexual relations, although Drake denies it. And who knows, I was watching her statement. It seemed very charged. It may be due to whatever her lawyer told her to say, or, there's a certain way people act when they're in court. Everyone has a motive. Hopefully she was telling the truth, because we would like to believe victims, but, with the human behavior, some people lie, some people have different motives, they stretch the truth, they're trying to extort for money. There's a lot of things that comes with human behavior. However, in what Drake has gone through, it wouldn't be far-fetched that whatever is going on mentally and the trauma that he's reliving and just going through, okay, he's been through many therapy sessions. And you can tell as he's speaking, what has been done to him deeply affects him. That it almost seems like no amount of therapy you can go to can make you forget and totally heal from the situation that he's been in. And whatever he's been through has affected him mentally. It may skew how he views life and also affect his actions. Okay. With me just doing research, oftentimes people who are perpetrators of a certain sex-related crime or just abuse, they've been through things that affect them mentally and physically. So as they develop in age, certain things become concrete, certain things become a way of life or perception, and certain behaviors develop and they become acted out. For instance, R. Kelly. Once I did a deep dive into his life, I'm like, oh, he was exposed to some things and clearly is perpetuating the same things in his adulthood. Oftentimes, things get passed on. Experiences get passed on. People get affected in childhood. They grow up. Things don't get checked. Therapy does not become incorporated. Or even if they do go through therapy, there's certain behavior and trauma that still lingers and it still warps the mind. I'm reading this book right now. It's called The Body Keeps a Score. The body, the brain keeps score or keep a report or record on the things that we experience. Okay? It keeps a mental file. Part of our personalities and behaviors we behave in today is due to how we were brought up. It was due to our environment. We become our environment. Okay, there's some things that we're having to unlearn. There's certain things I'm having to unlearn being in therapy or having spiritual counseling and stuff. There are certain ways, bad habits that I need to get rid of that is not conducive in a healthy relationship or healthy relations with people in general, friendships with family members, co-workers. Okay. There are certain attitudes I have and things that, needs to be checked. There are certain coping mechanisms I need to be aware of and incorporate in my life to promote the good out of me, the good nature, so that it can be lived out and influence and affect people positively. So with that being said, just because someone grows up in a rough and hostile, abusive, perverted environment, it doesn't mean if they grow up from that and become adults and become perpetrators, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't hold them accountable. Oh, we should. Okay. If they do something of, the magnitudes that we discuss, that's being discussed in the documentary, of course, do your time in jail with the things that are proven and the receipts and whatever. Do your time. Hopefully they have a rehabilitation when you're serving your sentence, because if we, with your sentence, if you're going to be let out back into society, clearly you're going to need to know how to navigate and learn how to cope and act out your good nature. Lesson 11. Another trait of being human is the fact that we are sheep. Okay? We're constantly looking for a shepherd to lead us, someone to provide for us, someone to provide opportunities for us, someone to protect us. We also follow the majority. We follow what the majority of people are doing. We humans need community. We can't be alone. We do not like how it feels to be isolated or not accepted by the majority of society. However, our tendency to be sheeps becomes a detriment when it comes time to call out toxic behavior or toxic culture, a culture of people doing things that aren't good. Okay? There's practices, certain environments that gets cultivated. Certain behaviors has a past because it's been done for so long. However, it needs to be addressed. So if the majority supports someone who is wrong, it becomes hard to stand up for what is right. Okay, we don't want to stand alone. We don't want to be the odd man out. We don't want to be demoted or ostracized. Okay. However, there comes a time that we still have to stand up for what is right. The morals has to be upheld. The integrity has to be upheld by someone. We cannot do what the majority is doing if it is wrong. Okay? So, of course, we are stronger in numbers. So in this case, in this documentary, there's a lot of actors, set workers, costume designers, screenwriters or whatever, that seen that the work environment was hostile or inappropriate. Clearly in communication, if we talk and speak out, we would know that there are probably other people who feel the same way. They're just kind of scared and timid to come forward and stand up for what is right. So maybe it takes people to communicate with each other and stand in solidarity, make a decision to stand up for what is right, even if it means being demoted, even if it means being ostracized. It happens. We humans are flawed. People are gun-ho for the affluent, people who seem to have more influence than others, whatever the case may be. People really want that role or to be a part of this industry, so they're willing to be behind someone who is wrong morally. However, it's very important for us to stand up for what is right. That's the only way we're gonna see it prevail in society. If the majority of us folds and just crack under peer pressure, which happens, so I'm not going to even beat up anyone or say, oh, y'all should know better. And honey, even myself, I can remember times where I should have spoke out and stand up for someone or not participate in gossip and slander and crap and not even join in. Okay. I have many times where I just went along with the majority, and it's not good. Especially if it's for a more serious situation like this that was going on, you know? Yeah, we need to put ourselves in check and really uphold morals and standards wherever we go. It's not only in the workplace, in friendships, within the family, how we treat strangers, whatever the case may be. We need to make sure we have our morals in check. And of course, it raises another question or another idea that maybe all of our morals aren't the same. Our perception of life is not the same just due to our environment and X, Y, and Z. Hopefully we can get to a point in society that our morals are the same, biblically speaking. I mean, that's where I feel like we get our morals from. Okay. The commandments. Yeah. Where else did we get that idea from? All right. We know what is good. It's part of our download. It's part of how God created us. But unfortunately with I already talked about this in one of my videos. Let me not go on a tangent. Yeah. The decisions that we make in life, it affects all of us. So it is very important for us to stand up for what is right, because When we let things slide and let it become a norm in the environment, it becomes a culture. It becomes a lifestyle. It becomes a way that we operate, and it affects all of us. And lastly, lesson 12. So with all that I said, okay, it is our responsibility as humans to be aware of ourselves and how we contribute to the world around us. Okay? We contribute as individuals. And we are all influential and have an impact on society. So let's make it our business today to care for each other and uproot foolish and bad character traits within ourselves. And let's hold ourselves, family, friends, neighbors, and strangers accountable for our actions. And do so with love and grace for one another. Okay? Because we all have the capacity to operate in our good, which we love, and then operate in our bad, which it ain't doing good for us. Okay? It's hurting a lot of people. If you're unsure of what are the bad character traits or vices of human nature, go ahead and take your phone out or go ahead and do a little Google search on your laptop and start today doing research to understand all the complexities and capacities of being human. It's very important for us to be aware. I feel like our lack of awareness is the reason why a lot of things are repeating itself in history. The things of the past is still occurring today. The struggles of human vices is still occurring today. It's still affecting a lot of us today. Things are being passed down generationally within a family. Okay, there's a lot of stories, there's a lot of testimonials, there's a lot of past trauma people are going through, and environments people are being raised in that is affecting our morals, is affecting our good nature. And as we grow up in adulthood, some behaviors become solidified and hard to break, habits that are hard to break. It will take a huge intervention and a huge amount of awareness and admission and will to want change. So with that being said, also to go ahead and research all the good we humans can do, the powerful things we can do, that we do in history, how we've pushed for rights, how we pushed for laws to be created to help keep humans in check, to help promote the good that we do, our good nature to remain in society and prevail. We humans are amazing. We are complex beings, okay? Kind of stubborn, difficult at times, resilient, brilliant, some dumb. But we are learning constantly as we age, and in the coming years, we're constantly learning new things, learning new ways to help each other, learning new ways to promote change, positive change, and just understanding the world around us. So yeah, this documentary really, this bring things to light. I'm learning to see and receive the news and information. I see it differently. I always look for ways to learn about human behavior, and hopefully that can teach me a lesson, that can give me wisdom on how to navigate life, how to understand life a bit more, and just to be a better person. So with that being said, that concludes the video. For more content, go ahead and follow me on The Social Examiner on YouTube or at my social media pages on Instagram. No, I don't have a Facebook. So on Instagram and TikTok at Social Examiner 24. Bye.